Good morning and welcome to this segment of the Celebration of Wisdom. Today's guest is a board member of the 5 Points Neighborhood Association, CEO and founder of the House of Kings and Priests, which empowers young men to empower themselves physically, emotionally, and spiritually, author and poet of The Black Men Arise, recipient of the 6th District Difference Maker Award, 5 Points Senior Legacy Award, and many others. After graduating, she went to Milwaukee Business Training Institute and received a degree in secretarial methods. Later, Ms. Anderson went to Milwaukee Area Technical College for computers and financial accounting. She received her associate's in business management from Cardinal Stritch University. She also received her bachelor's in human services and master's in business sciences from Cardinal Stritch University. Ms. Anderson is married with 4 children and added to the family are 13 grandchildren, twin great-grandchildren. Welcome and thank you for talking to me today. If you'd like to start out with talking a little bit about what community means to you and maybe like how that has changed over your life.
Well, community for me means all of us coming together and working together, helping each other and building around in our neighborhoods. And when I say neighborhoods, I don't just mean on your street that you live. It's our whole surrounding. When I say neighborhood for us, community. And it's changed over the years. Just so you know, sometimes I have to remember, what am I, 67? Okay, so over the years changed because I wasn't born and raised in Milwaukee, but I moved here in 1969 to go to high school. But at the same time, then thinking about how community was, it was a time when you all got together and you played outside. You made sure you was home before the street lights were on. Same way I raised my kids like that too. But now, as we talk about it, that's kind of like a scary thing to tell your kids to go out and have fun and just make it home before the street lights come on. It's kind of a scary thing. But our community will be restored. I look at it like that, because as we all get together, community will be community again.
So. Yeah, that's great. What's an experience that you've had in your life that you feel like you've like really carried with you, like that taught you something, and maybe what did you learn from it, or what like makes it stick out to you?
Ask the question again.
Yeah, of course. What is an experience that you've had in your life that you've really like carried with you, or that really sticks with you, and what do you feel like you learned from it, or why is it something that you've carried with you?
And I don't think this is really it might not be a answer that relates to the community, but it relates to I know when, I don't know, but this does stick with me. It's before you make plans to go somewhere, make sure you ask your parents. That might sound crazy, but that stays with me today, because I remember when I was younger, we used to always have little parties on the weekend, socializing. And as you had those parties, when school got out, you just looking forward to it. So I had made plans to attend this party, and I hadn't asked my parents. So when that time came for that party to come, I could not go. And it was down the street from my house, so I could stand at the end of my driveway and watch everyone go into that party. And today that sticks with me. Always ask permission where to go if you can go. I know that might sound crazy, but that sticks with me. And there's maybe other things but that's one thing. It really does. It's I tell my kids that story all the time. They probably get tired of hearing it, but it's just, and that kind of relates back to the other question I just answered for you, is people need to know where you are nowadays. A long time ago, or where you going to go, what you going to do. And not saying people being nosy about it, but as a long time ago, community, the person next door knew where you were, your parents knew where you were. If they said don't go, you don't go. But nowadays, you're not going to ask your neighbor, or you're not going to stop and let your neighbor say, I probably would, but let your neighbor say, and kids are not going to let neighbors say anything to them. So the best thing nowadays is you just can't talk to them, because you might, from the kid to the parent, you won't be able to get anywhere. And so that relates back to, as I was saying, ask where you're going to go, ask and let people know where you're going to go before you go. And when I say ask, make sure people, you've got permission to go, and don't just be hanging out, because people need to know where you're at really now at all times, or where you are at all times.
That's great. What advice would you pass on to someone who is going through like a difficult time in their life?
Well, I'm a believer, so I have to go that route. It's just, you have to acknowledge God. I have to go that route because that's where I am. And you have to trust that. You have to trust him. And seek help and talk to someone. You know, you have to, everybody's not going to do that. They're not going to really come to you and say, I really have it hard. Because right now they even say too, the strongest person, especially when we're dealing with the mental health now, coming through COVID and everything else that we're coming through there. And even you can even look at that as far as in Hollywood and everywhere else. People are dealing with some things and they're not saying anything about it, but it's being expressed. So someone is going to a difficult time, I really would suggest talk to someone, get it out of you. I tell a group, I do a mental health Monday, talking to young people, and you get a journal, sing songs, do anything, but it has to come out of you. Even if you're going through a difficult time. I don't know what difficult time. I'm going to ask you, what is it? And not you, the interviewer, but I'm going to ask you, what are kind of difficult times are you talking about? What kind of difficult times are you talking about?
Well, it could be anything, like maybe one thing, like maybe it's something like someone is, like you mentioned, like mental health, like things like maybe they're struggling with just going through a rough time, whether it's because they have like depression, or even if it's just because like they lost their job or like something like that. Like it doesn't have to be super specific, you don't have to be specific necessarily maybe, but just sort of these things that like really, like maybe, like I said, maybe they lost their job, or like they like just thinking of my own life. Like I struggled a lot after I got in a car accident. And like, that was something that was hard for me to get through, like different little things like that like you could think of that maybe someone is dealing with, and like, how would you help? Like, yeah, like what would you say that?
And all I can do again is go back, talk with someone. You have to get it out of you, because if you sit in silence, that eats you up inside. It messes with you. Then you really have a mental health issue that's going on with you. And like you just said, losing a job, not having food in your house, kids acting up, all these different things like that. And then they used to say that some stress was good stress. That's when you plan an event. And when you plan an event, you want everything to be so perfect that you just, that kind of works with you too. But the thing about it, like when they say good stress, like they say good trouble. But when good stress, it's like I say, just planning something, you get overexcited about it, and you're just excited about it. So it causes stress, and then that's mental. That deals with you mentally too, but it's a good stress, but it still deals with you mentally, because you're thinking and you just sometimes you're overreacting. And my kids always tell me when I'm planning an event, they say, pretty soon we're finna get ready to get out your way. And I said, what you mean? She said, because you know how you are when you planning something and you getting it together, because I do different events. And so when I'm planning them, okay, this got to flow this way, this got to flow that way. So they say, okay, we're going to help you so far. Then we know when to get out your way. And I'm going, oh, okay. I said, I just want things to be right. We know that. So we get out your way. So, but, and just to go back, you always got to talk with someone. And just let people know. Everybody's not going to do that. They're not going to let everybody know at all times. But, it's if you be around positive people, you're going to receive positive in your life. And sometimes that can help you out too. So that's what I have to share on that.
Yeah, that's great. How would you feel like you deal with change?
I deal with change very well right now. They had a long time ago, this job I worked, there was this book called Who Moved My Cheese? And I learned now that nothing stays the same. And I used to like this song too. Nothing stays the same. Everything must change. But I deal well with change. And I enjoy change. Look, wait a minute, I got to throw this in as long as it's a good change. But no, I'm just kidding on that. No, I'm for real. But I'm very good with change. I have to sit and I do analyze it a little bit, the change, to see, okay, this change has happened in my life. Where do I go from here? What am I to do? And so I just take it for that. This change, what am I to do with this change? I can't let it get me down. So I handle change very well. This is something that's changed in my life. How do I adapt to this change? What do I do in my life to, again, adapt to this change? So that's why I'm on that.
Great. What are some of the biggest changes that you've seen or like dealt with in maybe both your personal life and also just in like general over the course of your life?
You know, you forgot I told you I was 67 years old, right? You want over the course of my life. Oh my goodness.
I don't know, maybe this, because sometimes there's like things that it's like, oh, like there's a change that happened when you were like 20 that still sticks with you or something. But obviously a lot of things have changed.
Yes, that's right. But see, that kind of goes back to, that's why I mentioned that and I know it might seem minor to some people about me talking about when I was 12 and couldn't go to the party and this and that, but for at that time I was 12. But for a 12-year-old not being able to go to a party and socialize with their friends, that's a big thing. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's the reason why it stuck with me all these years. I'm 67 now, but I was 12 years old when that happened. Mm-hmm. But it stuck to me. A change I had was when I was 14 years old. And I moved to, I always tell this story, so this one really sticks with me. I moved from St. Louis to Milwaukee. I lived in East St. Louis area though, to Milwaukee. I mean, that was a change that affected my whole life. My whole life. I spent, now at that time, no one was talking about mental health or even considering issues like to even go along that line. But for the first year and a half, moving to Milwaukee, I did not socialize with anybody here really in Milwaukee. I still tried to reach out to my friends I had in the St. Louis area. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to do anything because that had gotten me down. It was the way that I moved here. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, no, I don't want to make, it was like, I didn't want to make friends here. So now if you bring that to today, they would count that as a mental health issue that I had. Mm-hmm. Because that's it, I guess it was a form of depression or something at that time for a 14-year-old child. But mm-hmm. I got over it. Mm-hmm. I got over it. And many things have I done in Milwaukee since then. Many people I have met in Milwaukee since then. Many people have I helped in Milwaukee since then. So like you asked about a change, that was a change that had to happen because I had to come to Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. So I look at it like that. And that's why I say, but at that time, at 14 years old, no, I wasn't looking at it like that. So that's why I say I'm 67 now. Over the course of the years, there's a lot of change. You want to ask me about all my change? We'll be here for a very long time. But so many changes have happened. Mm-hmm. So many good changes that when I went back to the East St. Louis area and I saw how it was being decayed. I'll use the word decayed. It might not be the right word to use right now, but you understand what I'm saying along those lines. I looked at that and I said, oh, Lord, I said, I have to come back here and be the mayor of this town or something. Look, I'm already wanting to be in the political field, be a mayor or something to build this city back up. But that was no longer my home. I was here in Milwaukee then. And so it was placed on my heart. Look at the young people around. They need some help. And so then that's when I thought about it. I talked about it for a long time. It was our young men, our African-American young men in the community of Milwaukee. There's so many different things or programs we have for young ladies, but what are we doing for our young men? Mm-hmm. And this was in 2004, maybe a little bit before then, where my heart started going out to our young men in the community because I had daughters, and we had to prepare our young men for basic life skills too, so they can relate to our young ladies, that we're preparing our young ladies, but then who are we preparing them for if we don't prepare the young men? So that's where my heart went out to our young men, and I wrote the poem Black Men Arise to let them know that they're valuable and they're important. So that's how that poem came about. And then I started the organization. That even starting that, it was like that was a big change, because it was like I walked in one room. When I walked in one room, the room, a door was open, and I went through the door. When I went through the door, the House of Kings and Priests was formed, and I went for some sessions and never left it. Just started the business and reached out to young men in the community, 18 to 25 years old. And I, like I said, that was a thing for me to move here. Although at that time I wasn't accepting that change, but I moved here to Milwaukee and started this organization and have reached out to quite a few young men. And I thank God, I'm putting it like that. I thank God that I did go ahead on and start that and do that, because I have those young men that's coming back to me now, thanking me for making a difference in their life. They're going on to do wonderful things, trucking companies, businesses of helping other people. Now they're helping people. They're going into the movie industry. I mean, that was the group from back then, and now I have some of those that came through. We formed a group home. We had a group home. This group home was for those that are aging out of foster care, and just to help those young men. That to me, that just brought me joy. Brought me joy to help.
Mhm.
And I always looked in the I always look at that. It's just I think I like helping people.
Mhm.
Sometimes my kids used to say we used to go to the store, and if somebody couldn't find something in the store, I said, "Oh, it's over there." My kids, "Mom, shh, shh, do you know them?" I said, "No, but they needed help." So it's like sometimes someone said, "Bernadette, would you stop always trying to help someone?" But I love helping people. I
Mhm.
love helping people, and I don't want to see anybody hurting. I don't want to see that. I don't want to hurt myself, and I don't want to hurt. I don't want to see anyone else hurt. I
Mhm.
don't want anyone, but you know what? Sometimes I guess sometimes that does bring about the change and make a difference in your life. So I look at it like that too.
Yeah. What other changes have you kind of seen in, like, I mean, you touched on this a little bit, like in the community, um, in general, um, and like, I'm trying to think of how to word this better. Hold on. um, what like, what changes have you seen in the community, whether even like whether good or bad, and like what have you do you feel like you've learned from them, or even like the community has learned from them, like, and even like you said, like you jumped in and started these organizations, like, um, what what kind of changes in the community as a whole do you feel like brought some of that about?
Brought what now?
Like some of the, like, I'm really struggling thinking how to word this. What changes in the community do you feel like led you to, or like, do you feel like have really impacted you, or also just impacted like the world? And you like touched on this a little bit with, like, you know, even things that you've seen in the community, like jumping in and starting these organizations. Like, what do you feel like um, sometimes like really pushed you to do that? Like, if you want to touch on that a little bit more, I just found that really interesting.
What what really started me to want to work with the young men is I
Yeah.
work for an organization called OIC-GM. And what they were a W-2, they became a W-2 agency, and a W-2 agency is for those that um, needed assistance with food stamps, daycare, even financial. They gave them finance monthly. And so I worked in the education department there, and they would have people come in to get their GED. And when they came to get their GED, because for the young ladies, they had to be there in order to get their check. But for when the men walked through the door, they were there because they wanted to finish their education.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, it was the person that always would stand over or distribute the tape testing, is what they called it at that time, was absent. So I was asked if I would fill in that day for that person. And I said, yes. So I gave out the test, and I even scored the test when I put it in so it could be scored. And some of those young men, they were making very high scores. And I asked them, okay, why didn't you finish school? And a lot of them would say, well, I was hung around the wrong crowd. I didn't like my teacher, or all kind of excuses they gave.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and I told them, you got a good score here. We're going to get you in and get you out, because I felt that if a young man walked through that door, because they wasn't getting a check, a young man didn't get checks. If they walk through the door, we can't hold on to them for 30 days, waiting on them to 30 days, 45 days, just waiting on them to finish the tape test. We need to get them in and get them out, because some of them were scoring 11th and 12th grade level. And at that time, it was great to even get a third grade level. And believe me or not, that was it. But these young men were really scoring high. And that's why I made the statement. So I called MATC and I don't know, Mequon campus, West Allis campus, downtown campus, to get them to go and take these math tests, science, whatever test they had to take in order to get their GED. And I did, and someone walked out within 30 days, they had their GED. And with them having that, I go, hey, we got to do something about our young men. They just out there, they didn't finish school, but they had a potential. Mm-hmm. We got to do something about this. We can't just let them hang in. And I just started, okay, we finna get this done for you. Mm-hmm. And like I say, when they got that, all they was doing is saying thank you. And then they went on to higher education, going on to UWM, MATC, actually getting their associates and moving on from there. And when I saw that happen, I said, wow, if I just did this one little thing, how much more can I do for them? And so that's what started it, just watching that go in the community. I don't know exactly what's happening with some of the young men now, the way they coming out of school, but really within the last 2 years or so, things kind of like, okay, out of touch with things. But I started back doing research to try to find out exactly what's going on now, since the COVID has somewhat passed, you know, but that brought a big gap into knowing, because you don't know what to do. You have so many events in your mind to do, but you can't do it right now, or you can do it, but people may not show it because so many things is going on. And no one wants to COVID, you know. So it's like, okay, they opening up things now. Is it time for you to open up and start back doing what needs to be done out here in the community? So I haven't even, we do a lot of things on Zoom. So we're still Zooming. We have sessions on Thursday nights with our young men, basic life skills, anything from employment, education, health and wellness, anger management, financial literacy, parenting, self-direction. So we do all that right now, Zoom. Mm-hmm. They seem to like it, you know, but at some point we have to open our doors back.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. And I think also, like, if you want to touch a little bit, just even based on your own experiences and also what you have done in the community, like what you've talked a lot about things with education, like what is like some of the biggest things you value about education, and like what would you say to someone to encourage them to continue getting an education?
Well, me, I love school, so I think every day. I love school. But what we do, and when I say education right now, it's more so helping them realize that they do need to go on back to school and get their GED, step one. Mm-hmm. And once they GED, go on and follow through. If you, sometimes everybody isn't made for college. Sometimes if you just go for that training, that can get you welding, whatever's out there now, whatever kind of training it is, because I did find out that when we almost on 10 years or so now, that it's going to be a lot of more of that industrial thing that's coming back. And that's exactly what's happening now. So everyone isn't made to go to college and spend the 4 years in college, then go back and get their master's and all that. As long as, like I say, I always feel as long as you're happy and you're maintaining your household, and you know, and then so be it, you know. Mm-hmm. But education right now, I working with Milwaukee County. In Milwaukee County, they're more so on prevention. So for prevention, we do what you call hidden in plain sight. Hidden in plain sight is to educate the parents on what their children may or may not be doing in the community as far as drugs is concerned. Mm-hmm. You can even set it up for as dating. Okay, are they dating the right person? It's more so educate. Now, this is where you call educating the community. That's more so what it is, the parents in the community, so you can know what your children are doing. The simple little thing, a cup and a styrofoam cup in your child's room, other little things like that you may not even think of as anything as far as drugs or alcohol is concerned, but it is. Mm-hmm. We also like I mentioned before, that we do a mental health Monday, educate again the community or the youth or whoever is online that day, because right now it's Zoom. Hopefully soon we'll be in person. Educating them or just listening to them, giving them an ear that's listening to them.
Mhm.
And so just so they can hear themselves talking, because things are going on in your world and you don't even realize it, and like you said, until you start talking.
Yeah.
And so we educate in that way. And then another thing we do for as prevention is concerned, we do a Milwaukee's Got Talent showcase. So our young people know that if you want to share your talent, you can share your talent. So
Mhm.
we do that every year. Anywhere from 15 to 26, 27 years old can perform.
Mhm.
And we do that again, we do that every year. And it's a great time just to see how much talent our youth in the community has. And so we do a variety of things. We do. We also helped along with giving the vaccinations for the COVID. We
Mhm.
did that, and then we some other little things. We do a wellness check, men wellness check, because a lot of men don't go to the doctor. So we have the nurses come and kind of check our blood pressure and all that. That's educating the community for our men in the community.
Mhm.
So we just try to do things to keep the community, give out grab and go bags that's filled with different things for the COVID. And I'm saying COVID a lot right now because that's what the main thing that was going out
Yeah.
in the bags, and anything just to kind of help them, bags for medicine, little boxes in order for them to lock up their medications. And then also we have a lot of people that have the rights to guns now. We give them gun locks to make sure everything is safe around the house. So it's just that's what we're doing for education right now. It's for we educate the community. I'll say that.
Mhm. That's great. What do you think young people can do today in their communities to help further? I don't necessarily want to say make the world a better place because that's really cheesy, but what do you think that like young people can do today in their communities?
They can do this. You saying today, they can do the same thing they did yesterday,
Right.
going all the way back. Again, I'm 67 years old, going way back. They can help the neighbors out. They can help cut the grass. But kids don't do that anymore. But they can do that, but they don't. Everybody's in the house. It's technology now. So that's where everything is, watching these games. And like again, they can do the same thing they did yesterday. Talk to they can but you I don't know. They can do the same thing they did yesterday. Ask the neighbors, can I help you with this? Can I, really try to go to school and enjoy school. School's a fun place. Most of them don't.
Mhm.
And I don't want to keep saying, I do say, I'm saying most of them don't. That way I'm not saying all of them, because that's not true for all of them. So I'm saying most of them don't. We have a crisis right now with them stealing cars. And I work at the group home. When some of the young men with the group home, at the time, the young man told me they call it pillies. Now they call them the Kia boys. But there were some, and I asked him why. He said it's the hype, just doing something to be doing something. And it's just dangerous now. I saw a section last night on TV, with them talking about that's happening in the community, and showing, and because they had just showed a couple of schools, some of the schools is college bound, they have that happening there. So it's just all over right now. But that section was asking kids, have you ever ridden in a stolen car? Do you know someone that's been? And a lot of hands went up. A lot of hands went up. So, and I don't know if they'll tell on kids now, because like they say, snitches get stitches or something.
Yeah.
But more likely they won't. But that's just something that, like I said, now it's in the political hands in order to find out what they can do about that.
Mhm.
So I don't know if I really answered your question.
No, you
But
did. Yeah. Yeah.
okay,
That was great.
okay, all right. So
Um, what are some of the ways that like some of the young men you've worked with have like worked in the community now? Just sort of out of curiosity.
have they worked in the community doing it?
Yeah,
Um,
like what have they like? What are some of the things that they've done?
okay, I'll say what they have done, because right now we're not really doing anything with what's
Hmm.
going on. But we did go to um, some of the food pantries. and help out at the food pantries. We did the cleanups, neighborhood cleanups. We did that, and just that's basically the kind of things that we did as far as a group wise. They would
Mm.
get together and do that. But that's about it right now that I'm going to say, because different things that we were getting ready to do, everything just down. So we haven't done anything in a little while.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that's great. What advice would you give to like any young person today, just in general about life? It can be as vague or specific as you want.
And this is going to be very vague. No, I better not put that out like, because I was going to say enjoy life, but I don't want to leave it as vague where enjoy life could be a lot of things to other like that. But just enjoy life and be a kid as much, and be young, be youthful as long as you can. Because when you hit that 18 mark and get over, life takes a whole different turn. And enjoy school. Don't just think you just going there to learn, picking up the books to learn. That's so socializing. Enjoy all that. Whatever the school has to offer, take advantage of it. Get into sports, go to the games, do whatever you can, because you would really love it. Then they will love school. You won't have all this skipping school. But then again, I know too that a lot of things were taken out of the school. So I do know that too. So a lot of the arts has to be brought back. Get involved in the plays, get involved in the choir. Just get
Mhm.
involved. That's what, and that, because that's going to be enjoying life. Because 18 and over, it's a whole new ball game.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's advice.
Absolutely. No, that's great. Um, I don't think I have any other questions.
Okay.
Sai, do you have anything else you'd like us to touch on?
She is such an inspiration and a joy. Um, I guess she did talk about getting help and the mental thing, the mental health help. The one thing too, um, that I don't know if you remember, but do you remember how you worked with the group and you had us bring like a, they actually didn't catch the bus, but they took cars some too, and you had about 20 something people from the um organization come down to the pieces play.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah.
Would you like to mention that, or she can always
No.
go back and put it in?
It's okay, but
No.
yeah, but the pieces play. No, no, that was just meant to have. No, no, I'm okay. I'm okay with that. But
Okay.
yeah, we all went down there. That play is it's really great. It's a great play. Um,
And I
it
was
did
I was thinking more from the angle of something in reaching out. It wasn't just
not
the your youth group, but you
mhm,
reached out totally to the whole community
community. Yeah,
and
community.
brought down people from, it was young people to
Yes,
all of us. We kind of went down there and got the experience of the play, and it helped break some stereotypes down.
that's right.
So
And yeah, and it did. It was just the whole community to go, because at that time when we went, I had seen the play is two versions of the plays. It's an adult version and a youth version of the play. But at the time we went, it was a time that people were just starting to discuss mental health. So when we got there, it was kind of deep, because they also had to have someone there just in case when you were viewing the play, it touched you, because you didn't know that what was going on with the loved one or that was going on with you. And so it's a great play. And Brenda Wesley, she is the one that really carries on that, or have that from time to time. I think it started off something with her son, but the thing about that was I even had people just walking out just saying, "Oh, that was so touching. It was so emotional," because all the time I had a aunt, or I had a cousin, I had a son, I had a brother, I had someone that was going through all this, and I did not know that's what was happening with them.
Mhm.
And so that's where society's talking about on that. But it was very educational. And people just talk, they just went through just saying, well, today I came home and this was something similar to the way I was just saying a long time ago. They wouldn't have what was going on, like I said, with me, those different changes from when I was 14 and I moved away from all my friends and came to Milwaukee where I did not know anyone, and I was getting ready to start high school. That was a big blow, a big change. And so again, it depends on how you handle that. I was writing, so I put myself into books. I began to read a lot of books. I began to write a lot. So that was a way I dealt with what was going on with me. At that time, they called nothing about no mental health. But now we know that watching that if a person go this way, that way, the way they was showing in the play, you have to watch them because there's things that's going on with them. And so that that play is coming back out again. And once that comes, it is out, but you just have to request it, to see it. But that's it.
That's great. All right. Well, thank you so much for talking with me today. This was awesome. And I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to share all of this with everyone. I know I really appreciate it. I'm sure everyone else does as well.
Thank you. And you're welcome.
So, thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.